Welcome everyone, today is the first day of Araxxor's release, and I've done about 200 KC, so enough to understand how the boss works and show you guys how to do a couple of run-throughs and run through a few tips and tricks that I have. Now, this setup is obviously a day one setup, so don't expect it to be like perfect or anything. There's some debate about whether regular claws, burning claws, or elder maul seem to be best in slot for the spec weapon. My money is on burning claws, but it could be any three of them. Now, the setup is without Blood Fury, but if you're learning, I'd suggest one. Rancor is the new amulet from the boss, and this is also the new Slayer helm, which does look incredibly cool. Rancor remains best in slot melee strength bonus now, and it has some really fat bonuses as well, as you can see. So something like plus 12 melee strength bonus and 25 to all the attack bonuses, so really good. And it's going to be replacing Blood Fury in a couple of spots around the game. These spider teleports you can buy on the GE, but they also come fairly commonly from the boss, and when you're starting I'd suggest using brews. You can also buy extended anti-venoms, which are quite useful. These are made using the venom glands from the boss and a regular anti-venom plus. And what we're using is a Ballista, which is a heavy weapon on its own with rigour and range part in order to one-shot the minions. So let's jump in and do a couple of kills. The pre-pot here is pretty simple. I gotta switch to my bank pin real quick, bear in mind. Usually I get that sorted out. Okay, so we're gonna pre-pot here. We have Divine Bastion, Super Combat. And if you haven't been to the Araxxor position yet, you can get there from Sepulchre quite easily using the long rope, or running from Port Phasmates is alright as well. In my setup, I'm opting to bring, give or take, 6 restores and a bunch of anglers. You can change to Moonlight Antelopes, you can use brews again, whatever really works is fine. And this place is pretty packed because it's all day one. The boss itself is instance, which is nice. And it's crush-based, so Scythe on crush with Inquisitor as well. Secondary weapons if you don't own a Scythe. Pretty much any crush-based weapon is good. So Sorry Prerex on crush is great, Inquisitor mace is great, Bludgeon is good, a zombie axe is good if you're on a budget, anything like that works. And a karils crossbow can replace the heavy ballista if you don't happen to have one of these, which two-shots most minions instead of one-shotting it. I'm using Thralls. You can use Venge, it's not bad, but Thralls I think is better because of Death Charge. And Death Charge doesn't work on the boss currently, but it does work on the minions. So that's the entire setup. Let's get in and do some kills. So when we spawn in, there's basically a boss spawns in the center, and it's just melee prey and piety. And you get these egg sacs spawning around the room. The one you want to pay attention to is the southeast one. This is your first one. What I like to do is start on this tile and move the boss back at least one tile. And we can also use our specs here. You can dump all of your specs here. When this guy gets towards you, it's like a Nilo from TOB. So as soon as he stops moving, you want to get out of the way, and he'll explode for 80 damage on the boss. After each one of these things occurs, you get a special attack. If you kill the... well, if you get the exploding one first, you get this acid trail. And it only lasts a short amount of time, and what we do to deal with that is a step under the boss. The next one that spawns is this green one. I put on range prey and rigour for a moment, and just ballista him to death. The end. And this last one, this guy is the mirrorback spider. Now the boss did a little shudder, that's the enrage phase. This enrage phase happens at 25%, and we have to start running around the boss. If my DPS is good, I don't have to worry about this spider if my DPS is good. If my DPS is not so good, I may have to deal with it. I could just ballista this guy to kill him. And he does reflect some of the damage on the boss back to me. But if he's this HP, I can get away with just ending its career. I have Destroy and Harvest as the two options, and I've made Destroy the first one. Harvest is the regular option, and will give you loot. Destroy takes away all chance of loot, but doubles your pet rate, and also gives you clues. So I'm doing this since I want the pet now. But I would recommend just doing the regular Destroy if you're not sure. Now the eggs around the outside of the room can change order. So in this next kill, let's see if we get anything different. Should be using Thralls here. I got the same one. So whenever it starts with the exploding crab, or exploding spider, it's always going to be the same thing, which means I'm going to get the acid trail. And the way it works is the spider does 3 attacks, and then this egg hatches. So I can ballista it, or I can let it come to me for damage on the boss. And remember, I've moved the boss back one tile, at least one tile. Let's get out of the way. It deals me some minor damage because I'm a bit close. And it helps again to just, after the boss attacks, push yourself this way a little bit. Now we have the acid trail. That attack there is because I was not standing near the boss. The acid trail doesn't last very long, so it's pretty chill. And now after 3 more attacks, we get this guy. Let's wait for the boss attack, pray range, and then back onto our proper prayers. I'm going to drag him this way just one more tile to get him over this acid. He's really easy to drag around, and Araxxor is 6 tick. In his enrage form, he's 4 tick. So this little shudder there's the enrage. Every time he says something above his head, I gotta move. This is a 4 tick attack, and you can run around him. You can also dodge back like this. So my DPS is pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore this last spider. And this keeps going around the room. So there's more eggs here. If you're in budget gear or slower kills, it's going to keep popping them around the room, so you know the order. And again, the first one in the order, on the southeast, will determine what exactly it is that's going to happen for the special. So far, we've only seen the melee be first, which means we get the acid trail. I want to do enough kills to try and get all 3 of them. Let's get our claws ready. So now we have the range one. If it's the range one, you get this like 8 directional attack. I've dragged the spider back 1. And after 1 more attack here, I'm going to get my Ballista out, wait for the boss attack, pray range for a tick, and then go back on my main stuff and attack. I suggest standing near the corner over here if you get the range one, because after 2 attacks, after the egg pops, you get this thing where he fires this big chunk of venom. If it hits you, it deals about 18-19 damage. And because we had range as the first one, this attack repeats after every single egg. So, after a couple more attacks, let's get into our Ballista, and shoot the mirror back, instantly killing it, and back on boss. And again, I suggest being somewhere over near this corner over here, because after 2 attacks after the egg, we get the next special. Here it comes. There we go. And we can put it on the same set of acid to make it a bit easier for ourselves. My damage is not quite as good this time round, and what I'd like to do for the melee over here is stand on this corner. In particular on this tile here, because this tile here means the southwest of this bug always lands on Araxxor. And by doing this, we can guarantee the 80 damage comes in and pops just nicely. So I've got a couple of different tiles and ways of working with these guys, but this is how I'm roughly doing it right now. And we're getting about 110 average kills with a Rancor and max melee. So again, let's reset and see if we can get the white one first. When we're using Burning Claws, we want to be dumping the spec early on. Gonna dump 1 here. On there, we got range again, so we know what special attack. Let's drag the boss back a couple of tiles, makes my Ballista able to hit them. And I can very quickly Ballista this guy on spawn, which means I don't have to bother praying it against him. Now after 1 more attack, I'm going to get the special, so I'm going to come to the corner. Not quite there, I can always move ahead of time. Here's the special, and now we can move. This one's easy to dodge. And you have about 2 ticks to dodge on reaction, or you can just like prepare for it. I'm Venom, so let's drink some Venom. And then we have this guy coming out in 1 or 2 more attacks, let's get ready, and once again, dead before anything else happens. You can use a crush weapon instead of a Ballista for those guys, but it does require you to run over there, so I think Ballista just, it makes for more chill kills, it's a bit simpler. Burning Claws I can use around here. Any later you don't really want to do it. This is what happens if you get hit by that, kind of forgot about it. And again, now that the boss shudders, we're going to start running around. You can turn off Prey here at the end as well. And this is 4 ticks, so running around the boss does not lose ticks when done well. Here we go. Any loot today? I got the Slayer Helm and I got the Pet Transmog. Now I just really want the pet. The Rancor has definitely dropped significantly in price, so I'm not too interested, although it's still going to be about 120, 130. Alright, we've got the White Egg. So this is the 3rd special now, and what it does is a big acid spray. So after the boss attacks, let's move back a couple of tiles again, make life easier. 1 more attack, get the Ballista out, and we can insta-kill this guy. So the acid spray is the attack here, and what we want to do is stay on this side, and when the spray comes in, we're going to move 2 sets of tiles across. It's a bit like a Blood Throw at Maiden, you want to move 2 tiles like that, and you're never going to get hit. I like to stand here on this corner again, for the exploding red one. This tile or any further along is fine, but not here. This will not deal full damage when it explodes, but this will. And there's the 80. Lovely. And now this is where the gets a bit easier. Because this is the last one over here, we can just pray range in enrage phase. We don't have to worry about it, we can just pray range. And now there's nothing it can do to you. So you don't... Basically, it comes down to a choice. You don't have to kill any of these spiders. You don't even have to ballista any of them. The melee one you want to pop on the boss always. But the range one you can keep alive and flick it if you want to get faster kills. And the white one, you can... don't really have to do anything about it, really. As you attack the boss, it'll kind of like soak up some of the damage. But it is probably still faster. It also damages you. There's a few more little intricate bits to the fight. But for the most part, it just depends on which egg is first as to what special attack you get. So, move the boss back at least one tile. It allows you to get in range of these guys with Ballista. And again, if you're out of range from the boss, what it does is it throws this attack at you. It's a mage-based attack. Not very nice. Gonna get rid of this guy. Then back on. So we're gonna get him throwing a thing off to the side. Just targets the closest sort of like 8 axis, whichever corner you're on or whichever side you're on. And we have white next. And the pattern of the boss is that it does 3 attacks. And then the egg explodes, then it does 2 attacks, and then it does the special. So after one more attack here, it's going to acid throw. That's the second attack. And here's the acid throw. So very predictable boss. And in terms of my overall thoughts on the boss, I think it's really well made. It's really well designed. It's like non-stop action, but it's not like requiring your attention the entire time. It kind of like respects your time and respects your attention, which is really nice. All the phases are pretty predictable. But it's also engaging. It's not like Hydra where you have to sort of like put in loads of time to counting and putting in mental effort. It's not like Fasani where you have this sort of like looming threat of a melee. You kind of know what's going on. Oh, if you get hit at the end, that's what happens there. I'm gonna eat some food because I got hit by that guy. Yeah, if you dodge, it's all good. If you get hit, it's gonna deal like 30, 35. Not particularly scary, but it can kill you. A couple of things can stack you out here. So let's do another couple of kills. Wait for the boss attack. Move back at least one tile. Burn my claw specs. If you do one claw spec at the start here, it turns out this is exactly on time to just click. It doesn't usually get its attack off on you, which is really nice. Let's move him back a bit more. There we go, that's nice. Use another set of claw specs here. And now it's going to do its special. Let's get out of the way. This guy's going to spawn after one more attack. There we go. Get him ahead of time. 2 more attacks and then the special. Let's stay on the side here. And one thing I'd recommend for this boss is shift clicking. Shift clicking allows you to step under stuff. So you can see I'm shift clicking and the boss disappears. I can step under the boss. Because his legs are pretty long and spindly. Sometimes they're kind of in the way, depending on how you stand, which is not so nice. And you don't really want to be clicking on them because they're kind of like a bit out there. A bit like here, you see it sort of like overlaps over here. You see my mouse cursor is? Which is a bit annoying. So shift clicking is really nice to like traverse the edge of the boss without getting griefed. And it's also good for stepping under when the red egg is first and you have to do the acid trail. The way you prevent getting out of position and taking a mage hit is going under the boss using shift like this. This is a nice little mechanic to learn and it's kind of like relevant all over the place. And it's another reason why this boss is so good. Because it has all these little mechanics and things that you would do generally in raids to make your life easier. But it's sort of at a level that it introduces to players. So if you haven't learned shift click, now is a great place to do so. Do a couple more. We got green again. So let's dump our specs and move back a couple tiles. After the third attack, this guy is spawning, so let's get ready. Instant hit means I'm not going to have to pray range. Move back a little bit more and move to the side for the special. And when this special occurs, it's going to snap to the side. There's the snap, and it gives me a bit of an indicator that I have to move. There's a couple of things like that that make your life very easy to tell whether or not something's happening. A couple more attacks. This guy spawns. Ballista ready. See you later. And now after a couple more attacks, we get the special for that egg. He's going to snap when he does it. If you watch for the snap, there it is. Again, very good indicator. And lastly, when this guy spawns, I want to be in a place that makes life easy, because he's coming towards me, but his southwest tile needs to be a tile away from the boss or closer. To achieve this, we stand here. I can turn my prayer off as well, keep piety on. And let's start dodging. This guy will naturally come into place. And we get an 80 damage. There we go. It's also possible to redempt on this boss. And what I mean by that is when you take the melee attack, you can actually, you can redempt on it afterwards. So because the attack has like a delay before it hits you, and it only deals 3 damage maximum, if you're like 12 HP or lower, you can start flicking redemption. And this will allow you to effectively stay here as long as you have restore pots and you're careful with your pathing, which is really nice. Move back a bit. And this guy's come out. I think he only does melee damage and not much, so it doesn't matter too much. And again, the white guy means you get acid spray. So here's the acid spray. Let's move 2 sets of tiles, and we're good. I'm going to pre-move to this corner over here for the exploder. And this means I'm in a good position again for when he gets towards me. And now we get acid splat. So we phased him into the final phase, 25%, which means we didn't get the acid splat. And the last one is the range one, so I can pray range ahead of time in case he pops out. That's that. That's a pretty brief run-through of Araxxor on day 1. And, yeah, hopefully pet relatively soon. We don't know the rates of things, really. But it's a very fun boss. One of my favorite Slayer bosses, for sure. Glad I got the helm. And hopefully, we can get the pet very soon. If you're interested in watching some of this live, I'm live pretty much every day, going to be doing some Araxxor for the rest of this week. So if you want to see me try get the pets, or ask some questions about gearing and whatnot, feel free to pop in and I'll see what I can do. But thanks for watching, hopefully you learned something. And get in there, get some Araxxor going. It's a fun boss. See you guys later.